Καλησπέρα σας. Καλησπέρα σας. Okay. It's been such a long time since we've all seen each other. Or not, I think, in many cases. Anyway, καλησπέρα σας, good evening. I'm Simon Ward. I'm your pilot for the evening. So keep your seat belts on in case of sudden turbulence. Very welcome to you all. Okay, we're always going to have a few last-minute people taking the centre of attention, but Tina Kanama, okay. Without any further ado, Mrs. Natalia, please come and give some welcome remarks.
Your Excellency, the British Ambassador to Greece, Mr. Matthew Lodge, Chairman of the ICS Greek branch, dear panel speakers, dear members, students and friends, good evening. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to the 19th ICS Annual Forum. Allow me to welcome also our virtual audience and especially our fellow colleagues and members from the 27 ICS branches all over the world. For the last 25 years, ICS Greek branch represents the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, a royal charter organization which was founded back in 1911. ICS is a leading educational provider and the only internationally recognized professional body representing all aspects of commercial shipping. All these years, we have educated more than 4,000 students, providing them with in-depth commercial shipping knowledge and supporting them to achieve ICS membership, a mark of competence for shipping professionals worldwide. None of this would be possible without the dedication and expertise of our tutors, who, despite their demanding schedules, are committed to share the knowledge and inspire our students. Their passion for education shapes the future of thousands of professionals in the shipping industry. Later tonight, we will honor our prize winners who have demonstrated exceptional performance and a commitment to the highest standards. We are so proud of their achievements and remain fully committed in supporting their journey toward a successful career. These students represent a generation of professionals who value continuous education and ethics in the shipping profession. Throughout the years, ICS members have become executives and leaders in the industry, promoting professionalism and fostering a culture of lifelong learning. This evolution reflects the transition from individual growth to the growth of entire organization. The increasing need for shipping companies to stay up to date and empower their people has led over 10,000 professionals to our corporate training programs. Companies in Greece can now apply for ICS membership and benefit from international recognition and expanded business networks. This year's theme, Shipping Beyond Borders, challenges us to rethink boundaries, not only geographical ones, but also the concept of operating beyond conventional limits. Tonight's discussion will inspire us to use creative business ideas that are redefining success in our industry. I am honored to introduce our distinguished panel, whose insight will guide us not only for this evening, but and beyond. Χάρης Αντωνίου, Έλενα Θουσάκη, Δημήτρης Πατρίκιος, Mark Pearson, Eva Gima, Dimitris Vasos, John Xilas. Welcome all to our forum. I also I extend my gratitude to our moderator, Simon Ward, Director from Mursa Shipbrokers and a fellow member from the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, who brings not only expertise, but a deep passion for the work we do. Simon, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your dedication. Finally, my greatest appreciation to our chairman, Mr. Nicholas Tsavliris, for his continued support to our branch. Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
No, it's not the way it stands.
Okay. Your Excellency, British Ambassador to Greece, Mr. Matthew Lodge, thank you for the fantastic speech at the Naftyliaki Leski, which you gave us a couple of hours ago. Dear ICS members, dear students, distinguished guests, it is with great honor that I welcome you all this evening to our 19th ICS Annual Forum. At a time when our industry faces rapid technological advancements, complex regulatory changes, and geopolitical tensions, coming together to share insights and strategies is more vital than ever. Today, shipping is probably facing the greatest set of challenges in its long history. Geopolitical crises have emerged as the most impactful yet volatile driver of change, with wars in Ukraine and Gaza and Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, and increasing cybersecurity threats, each underscoring the fragile nature of global stability. Meanwhile, the recent election of Donald Trump may signal new waves of protectionist policies, raising the specter of trade wars, sanctions, and embargoes, factors which could reshape traditional shipping routes and disrupt international trade. Today, I stand before you to reflect upon a theme that defines this year's forum: shipping beyond borders. At first glance, this may seem self-evident. Since ancient times, shipping has inherently been a borderless pursuit, with vessels navigating wherever the winds would take them. To cite just one of the many examples, we can look back to the year 1500, when the Portuguese captain Diogo Dias, bound for India, was swept off course and landed on the shores of Madagascar, hitherto an unknown landmass. The story shows he literally bumped into the island. The story shows that we are capable of great achievements when we commit to the voyage with optimism and determination, even if the outcome is uncertain and the final destination not always the one expected. Today, shipping beyond borders takes on a new meaning, symbolizing our journey to transcend modern boundaries, whether geopolitical, digital, environmental, or regulatory. As we navigate challenges like evolving IMO regulations, digitalization, decarbonization, autonomous vessels, and artificial intelligence, we carry forward this legacy of exploration, guided by purpose and innovation. In ancient Greece, Heraclitus taught us that ta panda ri, everything flows, just like water in a river, which may even change its course. So must we adapt to the changing currents of our industry. Shipping beyond borders calls upon us to embrace this constant flux by breaking traditional models and navigating new waters with resilience and foresight guiding our way. As we embark upon today's discussions, I am filled with a sense of anticipation, The diversity and expertise of our panel reflect the impressive talent and knowledge that we as an industry have at our disposal to address these formidable challenges and to provide a unified vision for our dynamic future. I welcome you all and thank you cordially for contributing to this forum. Thank you, Mrs. Natalia Marioli and the ICS Greek branch team for the meticulous organization of the event. Thank you, Mr. Leonidas Dimitriadis Evianidis and the personnel of the Evianidis Foundation for your hospitality. Thank you all, both here and online, for your attendance today and for your continuing support. Special thanks to all our sponsors, whose contribution has been vital to the organization and success of the event. I sincerely hope you enjoy today's presentations and discussions and invite you to join in. Every opinion counts. Thank you for your attention.
Now, unfortunately, His Excellency Christos Stylianides, Minister of Maritime Affairs and Insular Policy of the Hellenic Republic, couldn't be with us this evening, even though we sent the invitation many months ago, the Affairs of State. So he has kindly sent us a welcome message, which we would like to play now on the video, please.
Dear President of the Institute of Charter Ship Brokers, Nikos Tsavliris, dear CEO of the Institute of Charter Ship Brokers, Natalia Marioli-Komnenou, dear Ambassador of the UK, Matthew Launch, distinguished representatives of the Greek and international shipping community. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to address the annual forum of the Greek branch of the Institute of Charter Ship Brokers. Many thanks to the organizers for the invitation and for the opportunity to address such a distinguished group of professionals. I'm really sorry that institutional obligations do not allow me to be with you in person. As you know, I'm in Cyprus together with the Prime Minister for the second high-level intergovernmental summit. Nevertheless, unfortunately, technology allows us to communicate through this video message. Dear friends, the theme of this year's conference is shipping beyond borders. It is indeed a truly inspiring and forward-looking theme, addressing the next day and the future and prospect of shipping. We all agree that the maritime sector is one of the most resilient and promising pillars of the Greek economy, a sector that drives our country's sustainability and growth, both of them. With a fleet of over 5,500 vessels, Greek ship owners control 20% of the global deadweight tonnage. At the same time, the Greek-owned fleet constitutes the impressive 59% of the European fleet in terms of tonnage capacity, and the Greek flag ranks 8th globally. Moreover, Greek ship owners control more than 30% of the world's crude oil tankers fleet, more than 25% of the world dry bulk carriers fleet, almost 15% of the world chemical and products tankers fleet, and more than 23% of the world LNG carriers fleet. So the Greek fleet is an indispensable factor for the world economy to keep moving. And all of this comes from a country that represents only 0.12% of the world's population. It is amazing. Moreover, Piraeus, the largest port of our country, is the center of the Greek maritime cluster. More than 1,650 branch offices of foreign shipping companies dealing with ocean-going shipping are established in Greece. Their activities include mainly ship management and chartering. In addition, there are around 3,700 maritime companies, mainly active in cabotage and short sea shipping. An estimate of 200,000 people are employed directly or indirectly in the Greek maritime cluster, contributing around 9% to our national GDP. I'm sure that these numbers speak from themselves. They underline the importance of Piraeus as a major shipping center around the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in challenging times. Shipping faces a strong competition within a volatile international environment. The annual forum of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers is taking place at a critical juncture for shipping. First, the new environmental targets and the need for decarbonization of the international maritime sector. The second one, the seafarers' shortages and the need for upskilling and reskilling of crews. Third, technology advancement, digitalization, and the rise of artificial intelligence. And last but not least, threats to maritime security as a result of geopolitical turmoil and unjustified attacks against commercial ships and innocent seafarers. Dear friends, challenges have difficulties, but also a lot of opportunities. The Greek shipping community has proven its ability to transform challenges into opportunities. It is exactly for this reason that the Greek government is confident that the potential for Greek shipping remains strong, very strong. Our country will continue to lead the way in maritime affairs. Thank you so much for your attention. I wish you a successful and productive forum, and I once again sorry because I'm not with you in person there at the forum.
Well, I wish I'd seen a copy of his speech beforehand, because he's just taken away what I was going to say. So we'll have to make do with the panel instead. And yeah, this year's panel is a challenge again, because they're all so good. I've spoken to each of them, met most of them. Some of them have been panelists beforehand, and I can tell you we're in for a treat. I will let them speak for themselves, of course. And I know they will during the space of the discussion. Let me tell you, for those of you that haven't been to the forum before, first of all, what happens at the forum stays at the forum, okay? No, sorry, that's not right, because it's actually being broadcast around the rest of the world, so bear that in mind too. But this really is a forum. This is not a place where you come and sit here in your seats and look up at us and talking anything else. The whole idea of the forum is more of a symposium. So we want to share knowledge, experience, expertise, and jokes, if you like, too, all the way through. So there isn't going to be a question and answer session at all, okay? But you can interrupt any time you like during the discussion. Anybody raises a point, you want to ask a question, and when I say question, not a dissertation, please. Or you want to make a contribution to the discussion that's taking place, because these panelists indeed are fantastic, but so are you, and you've got ideas, and you've got experiences, and you've got knowledge, and you've got expertise. I know in the room it's not just students, there's members from all over the industry. There's even, I see at the back there, sneaked in, a big contingent from Lloyd's Register that have somehow sneaked in. Okay, so I'll be coming and picking on you later, okay, as far as that's concerned. No one knows, not even me at this moment, no one knows the questions that are going to be asked. There are no set questions. There are no set answers. There's nobody in the audience who's going to read out a question that's been prepared. It's all fluid, as Mr. Chairman was saying earlier. So I want you to bear that in mind, and I welcome your contributions. My role here is a facilitator. I will be wandering around with my weapon here, and I will be between the audience and the panelists. So if you want to ask something, just catch my eye. In front of you will see microphones or by the side of you there. Microphones that you can use so you don't have to shout anywhere. We encourage as much contribution as possible. Okay, so I better get started, haven't I? Now I've put you under all that. Yeah, I mean, I would say again, and I think, Mr. Chairman, you had it right. These forums have been a success in the past when we've had people engaging. Everyone has a contribution to make, and there will, I am sure, be a couple of surprises along the way this evening. So, let me see who I'm going to pick on to start off with. Eva, you're next to me, you're the easiest. I was talking to a student just outside. We're having a cigarette together, and he was smoking, and I was smoking twice as much as he was. And he said to me, well, what do you think of the markets today, Simon? Not so great, are they? Not good at the moment. He's young, obviously, so he doesn't really, may not have the depth of my experience, but what is happening, let's just say, let's start with the tanker market. I mean, obviously, things are not as gung-ho, let's say, as they were before. Is that correct?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, the young students should quit smoking. For sure, you're not setting a good example, Simon. So I'd say everyone knows the things I'm going to say. I'm just going to make a short summary, I hope. I think everyone has been very much spoiled by the returns the tanker and the dry bulk and the container and the gas carrier sector has had throughout the past 4 years. So it is only natural that people get disappointed. Let's say if an MR is today fixed at 22, 23, I remember people jumping up and down when they used to get a period, a 1 year period for 16,000 for an MR, and that was considered a huge success. There is a reason for that. Some owners did come, let's say, a little bit late to investing in this, in the upside of this cycle. So obviously they had to pay much more high prices. In prices, there's always sentiment. And let's say that sentiment is a bit confused now. The world is a bit confused now. I don't want to be very strongly opinionated about geopolitics, but at least with the current, which is going to be the previous government of the US very soon, people were assuming at least that the war in Ukraine and Russia and the consequent sanctions on Russia would be extended. And nobody was seeing a fast resolution on what's happening in the Middle East with Israel, Lebanon, and Iran. People are now normally confused because nobody knows what will happen next. And from the little experience I have, when there is uncertainty in the market, this is when things can really go wrong. Assumptions are not always great. And even today that we still have ongoing sanctions on Russia, and there is the beginning of, let's say, ceasefire treaty between Israel and Lebanon, which is on just a 60-day trial period. People suddenly believe that, all the issues that have caused disruption might solve themselves in a very, very short time. In my opinion, and maybe I'm proven wrong, these things don't just disappear, and perceptions don't just disappear. Even if Trump was to remove sanctions on Russia the next day he assumed responsibility in the office, I don't think Europe will follow. There is a political reason why sanctions are implemented in the first place.
Okay, well, let's leave the sanctions for the moment, because I think this leads us into a whole deep pit.
My point being
I mean, but at the moment, basically, what you're saying, if I can get this correct, is that there's too much uncertainty. The uncertainty that's been caused in the past has led the markets to go high, and now there's uncertainty on the downside.
On the downside, yes, because this is leading to a lot of owners trying to, let's say, fast sell vessels that they now consider less commercial. And this always leads to prices going down.
Okay, let's keep that there for the second. I want to go across to Mark, because Mark, well, first of all, congratulations on your new office in Singapore. Okay.
Thank you.
I hope it goes well. Mark, I promised you that there would be no bear trap, but...
I didn't believe you.
But I understand from market reports that Marin Tankers have just sold, or just been reported to have sold one of their tankers. Is that correct at the moment, or is that still not, you can't comment at that point?
The vessel was delivered yesterday to her new
Okay,
buyers.
good.
So
Fantastic.
that's okay. I can't comment on that.
But you can't comment otherwise, but I wouldn't like you to otherwise. But my point is selling ships before, because normally Marin Tankers have liked to keep the ships for quite a long time, they want to keep in the market, and they replace them by new buildings. They're not really asset players. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, that's the correct assumption. And we think it's a continuation of that. I mean, it wasn't a new unit. It was an older unit in our fleet. And so part of that renewal, of the natural fleet renewal, was to sell the vessel.
And is that something, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that it's the right time to sell at the moment, in view of whatever says in terms of the unpredictability, let's say, of what we see ahead.
I mean, is there ever a right time to sell? Nobody really knows exactly. I mean, you get offered a price. If it suits your slightly bigger plans, you may choose to do so. I mean, our decision to sell this ship and other ships that we've been selling, that previous ship I think was earlier in 2023. It's just part of that natural process. But there are always, even for long-term owners like we are, there are sometimes opportunities and numbers that you say, and that's attractive. When you're selling older units for the price that we paid new buildings for a number of years ago, then there's a commercial incentive to sell as well.
Okay. John, Mr. Dry, and I should call him Mr. Dry, because congratulations, John, on your new position at Intercargo, which I think we're very proud to have you there as the Greek industry's representative, as well as a very wise man to go through and deal with Intercargo's business and representation to the body. So congratulations, I'm very happy that you're there.
Thank you.
Is this the same story for Dry? Do you think, that the way that the market sees that? Because, I mean, I'm more of a dry than a wet guy, and I see so many handy-sizes and so many Supramaxes of a certain age in the market for sale at the moment. And I'm just wondering whether or not people are saying, okay, the party's over, let's sell now and see what happens as time goes forward. Do you think that's the correct? I mean, do you see that in your conversations with other owners?
I think a party is over. I don't know whether it is the party or not, because we keep getting new parties.
Well, after parties. Okay.
Or after parties. Yeah. The fact is that during the last 6 to 12 months, it has been a very difficult period to call the market. And that doesn't happen very often. Most people were not sure whether they should buy or sell. And this is strange, because usually you have a hint of what you should be doing. Yes, there was a big disparity between values and the market, and one had to give away. It seems that the values are giving away because the market is still soft and it's becoming a bit softer. There is uncertainty, as the other speakers have said. On the other hand, the fundamentals, especially on the supply side, are pro-market. So this is what's holding back, or maybe one of the reasons that is holding back a lot of people to sell. The other being that most owners are today cash rich and they don't need to sell, which was not the case 5 or 10 years ago. So,
well, maybe 10, but not 5.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as a sell and purchase broker, I mean, I don't like this indecision. I mean, if you don't know whether to buy or sell, then do both. I mean, you know, this is surely the answer to these things, although there are 2 or 3 clients of mine in the room tonight, so I should be able to be careful about what I say. Do you see any, in terms of the market, I mean, one of the things that I'm picking up at the moment is that nobody, whether it's charterers or owners or even cargo interests or operators, have any real idea about what's going on. Operators, I am told, are living hand to mouth in terms of they're not fixing long, they don't want to fix long, they think that the volatility ahead is so unforeseeable, they're not willing to take a position. I mean, do you think...
I think there are operators who want to fix long, but they can't find ships priced right, because most owners have completely different ideas. So there's a big gap there, and that's the main reason why people can't fix long.
And just putting your intercargo hat on at the moment, just for a second, okay?
I'm not wearing it yet.
Well, okay.
January 1st.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. In preparation of you, of you being crowned, let's say. He was talking about hats. Do you think? I mean, what I'm noticing is that there's charterers trying to reduce the age limit of ships that they'll take in on period charter, and there's also this thing with RightShip suggesting that they're not going to give a certain rating as the ship gets beyond whatever it is, 10, 12 years. Is that a concern for you as a representative of dry cargo ship owners?
It is, and this is why Intercargo, from the first minute that became aware of those new ideas from RightShip, raised their voice, and that prompted a very important round of discussions between RightShip and Intercargo and other bodies like the Union of Greek Ship Owners, which has led to RightShip revising their ideas, and there will be an official announcement shortly. But RightShip is part of our lives, whether we like it or not, and you know, we have to make sure that there is enough consultation between the industry and RightShip, so at least their ideas become pragmatic and realistic.
Okay, we'll come back to that theme later on. Now, as you will notice, we don't have anybody from the container industry this evening on the panel because they're too busy in Mykonos spending their money. So we didn't want to disturb them too much. So we'll let them decide what country they want to buy in the near future. But moving on from that, and Eva's already come to this, but I want to go over to Dimitri at the other end. I get a nice bit of exercise this way. So, geopolitics, and yes, so we say the Trump word, although this is something that's coming up. I mean, just from a practical term, as in your practice, have you seen increasing difficulties in dealing in this geopolitical environment from a documentary point of view, from a transactional point of view, apart from everything else, as the head of your practice here?
Yes, thanks, Simon. We certainly have. There's been a lot of turbulence over recent years, and the sanctions legislation landscape has been ever moving, and So we see an expansion of sanctions, not just in relation to Russia, but also other countries, that has affected what we do quite a lot. And it's also prevalent in transactions such as sale and purchase, where we see that it is mandatory for us to carry out thorough checks on sanctions compliance of the parties to the transaction, and that can really hold up things sometimes because there could be difficult questions to answer. So that's quite a clear example of that.
Yeah. But in terms of the new environment, and I suppose we have to talk, well, let's try and widen this out a little bit. The new environment of the inauguration of President Trump on the first week of January. I was at this panel last year where Donald Trump, the election of Donald Trump was seen as a bit of a wild card. It was one of those things, you know, so I think somebody mentioned it as a black swan moment as opposed to a red cat moment, I think. But it's now the case, and people are saying, well, yeah, I'm sure it was going to be him. But how does and Dimitri, the other Dimitri, if I may, for a second, yes, you, how do you see things? Because you are, first of all, I've got to say congratulations to you too. Congratulations on your new role at V-Ships. Very well deserved, and I'm sure you'll do great things. But as a representative, as a managing director of one of the hubs of V-Ships, you're touching in many different areas, in terms of market areas, in terms of market practice. I mean, how do you think, because I know that you think about these things, how do you think that these things, that his election is going to change things for us in shipping?
Thank you, Simon. Since we have Mr. Xilas here representing Intercargo, I would like to remind that I represent Intertanko as well.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hellenic Intertank and Hellenic and Mediterranean panel. So.
He has one hat, you have 12. Okay,
and you remind me that last year I had asked in the audience what shipping will react in case that the Black Swan will emerge. And the Black Swan at that time was the ginger hair guy. Last year the title of the forum was Sailing with Wisdom. This year is sailing beyond borders. Shipping is sailing in a world without borders, and we expect that in the near future we may have some economic borders in the world. In shipping, what we face now, and generally what we are seeing now, we see, and in the markets, and this is the magic of the markets, they discount what's going on and what is the future. So the volatility that we see now in the markets and the uncertainty that is prevailing, along with the complexity of all the things that are happening around the world, and the ambiguity that is present everywhere. This is the famous VUCA system, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguous, need new skills and new ways in order to adapt ourselves. And the most important thing is to be agile in the new world. And being agile, it means to have the confidence to take decisive actions in the face of this unexpected change. So our mindset should be how to adapt ourselves in all these new realities that we must live with. I remember last year, it was a year that it was a very good year and for shipping, because shipping likes distractions. And the distraction that we faced last year was not based on the increased demand, it was based mainly on the ton miles that have been increased. And all these ton miles were increased because of the changes in the geopolitics, and it was something that all expecting at some time will end up. The time now came that these things are closer to finalize in a way, so we have a great distraction from the other side. So what I'm trying to say is that in under these circumstances, what we need is to be agile in order to see the opportunities that they are now in. markets.
Adaptability, agility.
Yes.
Okay. Geographically, we've got Red Sea, Black Sea, and South China Sea. Moving back over to Eva, but I'll be coming to you later, don't worry, you don't escape, okay? Go back to Eva. Where do you see areas of growth in terms of economies? When you're looking now for the next, let's say, 5 years, where do you think the growth for ton miles of demand is going to come from? Is there anything that you can see out there at the moment which encourages you that shipping is going to be able to take advantage of it? Is there an economy out there that's going to grow? Is there a trade that's developing at the moment that's going under the radar? Is there anything you can tell us to give us optimism? Please, Eva, something.
Well, to give my opinion on all these things, I need at least an hour,
okay,
and you will be bored. No, that's okay. I'll do that for free.
Okay,
but
you still don't get out of it, okay?
I think making predictions is very hard at this point for everyone. I avoid making predictions myself. I do have an opinion, and my opinion is that everyone needs to focus on the supply side, because nobody knows what's going to happen. Like all these things that you mentioned and all the disruption coming from Red Sea, South China Sea, and Black Sea. Nobody knows what's going to be there or not in the next few years. Having said that, there is a reason why dry bulk has slowed down. This is China. Can I expand on this?
Please do.
Are you
Yes,
sure?
please do.
Okay. So China is making a turn to quality, not quantity. The country has gone over this period where everything needed to be built fast and move fast in general. They've seen that after the pandemic, growth could not still depend on the property sector. Property sector used to be something like 25 up to 30% some years of Chinese GDP. This is not happening anymore. So there has to be some slowdown, and we have seen this slowdown where internal consumption of steel, China is now exporting steel. China continues to export steel, and it will continue to import iron ore, maybe from West Africa in the next few years in bigger amounts. The problem is that nobody can really know how the Chinese steel exports, whether the Chinese steel exports will keep being welcomed by the rest of the world, because there are already very high tariffs, and countries like India, where there is a local steel production, which is very important to the economy there, are already, let's say, complaining a lot. So the reason why I'm saying that we should focus on supply, it's because the only sort of, the only thing that we can count at this stage.
Okay, so yeah. I'm just going to take that theme of, because it also filters into the economy as well, and into the geopolitics. And Harris, I will congratulate you for being here. I think it's, well, he just flew in this morning, so let's be clear. I mean, he's made an effort, and we're very happy for you here. Finance, politics, dollar, geopolitics, and sanctions, and so on. I mean, I know that you follow these things in great detail, but do you see from your side of the street, let's say, a change in China, or perhaps denominated currency being more of a factor in world trade, and otherwise do you see the US dollar's position as the world's reserve currency under threat now with these geopolitical changes taking place? I know it's a big question. I'm putting you on the spot, but you're an intelligent man and you know this stuff.
Well, thanks for this wonderful introduction and the easy question you posed. The economics, well, at the end of the day, currencies, follow politics, and the empirical example of what's happening could also be the rise of Bitcoin, which is even supported by certain governments around the world. But other than that, we see a concerted effort by a number of countries to de-dollarize their economies. And that was the result of the weaponization of trade and weaponization of the US dollar, as we've seen it.
So trade wars isn't just about tariffs. Trade wars is about different currency flows and different a division of the world.
Well, you know, if you look at IMF, I read a statistic recently. IMF was citing the word fragmentation, you know, once, like 5 years ago, in their reports, and most recently it was cited 174 times in the reports. So and that's a massive change, obviously, and it effectively means if fragmentation goes ahead of the world economy and we have fortresses being created in Asia and Europe, in America, you'll definitely see a reduction in growth in GDP, and that has a negative effect overall in economies and the ability of the world to, in fact, finance itself out of its trouble. So fragmentation is definitely not positive for the world growth and the trade growth, and it's not good for shipping. But on the other hand, shipping has been the industry that is there to connect the world. So actually, it even thrives in times of fragmentation because its role as a connector between not only trade zones but also of civilizations becomes even more important. And I mentioned this also at a recent Global Maritime Forum in Tokyo, because there was a lot of effort to also weaponize shipping in a sense. And of course, we've seen that there are a number of sanctions being imposed to certain countries for understandable reasons, of course. I'm not going to go into that. We all know what's happening. But at the same time, I also think that shipping has a role to play, and we need to make sure that it continues servicing our economies and continues servicing trade the way it has done, of course adhering always to the rules and regulations that are put in place.
Okay, right. At this point, I'm going to ask everybody a very simple question, and I have, and not just the panelists, everybody, because I've got a new gimmick, a new gizmo. So the first question, please, could we have on the screen, which you can all vote on, which is a very good thing. What you do is you scan this on your phone.
Okay.
Okay, and we can get a live feedback. Isn't this exciting? Ooh. Okay, and I think the first question, if I remember when I put it down somewhere, was, will Donald Trump be good for freight rates? Now, I will ask the panelists at the moment, will the election of Donald Trump as president be good for freight rates? Okay, very simple question, yes or no? I mean, they all went up together, they can all come down together. Okay? I couldn't, it was a bit of a stretch for me, to say containers and then dry. And then if I said dry, you would have said, which one? Panamaxes, Capes, or handy sizes? So, I can't, I'm sorry. So, that's interesting. Okay, Panamax, Cape, handy size, MR, VLCC, whatever. Just, Okay. Okay, I'm not going to pick on anybody yet, okay? But does anybody want to volunteer from the floor for the moment why they said yes? Anybody want to raise their hand and tell me why they said yes? Or are you still scared? Yes, you're still scared. Anybody want to take a okay. Which of you on the panel, well, I won't ask, any comments on this? I think this is quite surprising, this balance. Okay, Dimitri.
Probably because it is considered that Trump is more business-oriented, and Trump will find ways to resolve the problems, the geopolitical problems. So this may think that this is an opportunity for more trade.
Okay, but we've just had Harris saying that we've got fragmentation of trade.
Yes.
And the world's breaking apart, and there's going to be one currency here and one currency there.
Actually, for the short term, I don't expect to have an improvement on this.
Okay. Anybody else want to, on the panel, that is, want to jump in on this? Anyone else have an opinion? Mark?
I would say we're optimistic that he's a big oil and gas exporter, and this is potentially beneficial for the oil tanker and gas tanker markets. So whether it's medium term, short term, but overall I think it potentially positive. But the other side, the flip side, is the tariffs and what that does to other business sectors, which nobody knows about.
Okay, John, you had a...
I voted for no. And
thank you for your honesty. Okay.
Trade wars and tariffs, unilateralism and withdrawal from trade agreements, protectionism, these are things that he did in the first term. So these normally would not help the market. And this is why my immediate reaction was to vote for no, at least in the short term. Yes, he's a businessman. Yes, I think he will put pressure to get what he wants to get eventually, and I hope he will see the bigger picture and beyond his term, so that he eventually goes for the free trade story.
Okay. What I think is interesting is it's so evenly balanced.
Sorry?
Harris.
I just looked up a statistic, actually, which I had in mind from Clarkson's, and the average
Why
vessel...
Clarkson's? We've got Eva here. I mean,
well,
come on.
anyway, I mean, it's the Clarksey Index.
Okay.
Sorry, Eva, I'm taking your lead here, but...
Clarkson's are everywhere already.
Between 2016 and 2020, the average vessel earnings have been the lowest in the past 15 years, with the exception of the COVID spike and the ever-given Suez Canal disruption. But it doesn't mean that history will repeat itself, right? I mean, I just wanted to give that statistic.
Well, history may not repeat itself, but it sometimes rhymes. So I'm led to believe. Anyway, moving on, because none of you mentioned in that particular time, you're all assuming, again, about Trump, I guess, being an oil and gas guy, being a CO2 emitter. And in the meantime, haven't we all been involved in a green transition somewhere? Haven't we all supposed to be reducing emissions? Haven't we all, you know where this is going, don't you, Helen? Okay, I'll come in a second. But isn't this confusing for you? If the US comes back out again from the Paris Accords, if it drives another thing forward where all of the finance and everything else that was being put into place for this green transition, all the regulations and everything else that we have to follow suddenly don't matter because the foot's been taken off the gas, if you pardon the mixed metaphor there. This is your life's work. Do you see this as being problematic as well for what you're doing and this election taking place?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thank you for the ICS for having me here. I hope that the history will not repeat itself with Trump, and I think that what at least that has been discussed in the last COP29 is that even if US actually, goes out of the climate change and the Paris Agreement, still the sort of the industry in the US and businesses there are started actually developing their own energy transition plan. They have started already to report on sustainability statements. They've been, all the markets and stock exchanges have been, they've started actually putting some ESG rates and the financial institutions on sustainable finance, they started actually, for lending money to ask questions with regards to energy transition, and particularly in shipping, going forward, the type of vessels they're going to invest and rebuild. So therefore, I think that it's not going to be the same like last time, and I think it's going to have a huge pressure from the business side and from EU as well, in order not to get away. However, as I said, it's going to be only because Trump is Trump, and he's completely unpredictable, as you know. Therefore, I think that looking forward, that the decarbonization and the energy transition is going to stay there, and we don't see any sign from United Nations and IMO. For instance, we see more and more regulations coming, and then you're very aware about the Fuel EU Maritime, what happened with the ETS. So I've been working on this for the last 15 years, so I really don't want to see myself actually in a position where there is no future. So I think what is going to happen is that Trump will just, accept what is happening, and he will not do anything.
Well, Trump doesn't really care about I'm not sure that he even knows where the IMO is, or what the IMO is for that matter.
Well, he doesn't, but he does care about what the United Nations says and what the business says at the moment. And when you see at least the financial institutions, and I'm talking more about the EU side and the US, driving, let's say, the energy transition agenda, then I think that he doesn't have many options. However, what Trump says, and he's right there, is that we don't see the peak that we're expecting to see from the fossil fuels part. So what he sees that there is a lot of future going forward, and therefore he thinks that if it doesn't actually get his part, let's say, of the decarbonization agenda, then he will change the game. And this is not going to happen because coming from the industry I'm in, I see that there will be for quite a while, let's say, the fossil fuels around, and at the same time, alternative fuels. The alternative fuels are not there yet. I mean, there are so many problems at the moment, as everybody knows. There are pros and cons, but it's impossible to have the capacity that's required, particularly for industry and shipping. So what we see, there's going to be, let's say, sort of a diversified situation, okay, for a period of time until that the industry, let's say, is ready. The new vessels exist. The technology is there. The fuels also are available. So it's a long-term process.
Okay, Dimitri.
Yes, I would like to add what Elena said. I think that the energy transition is something that the society needs to be done in the long term. And the reason I'm saying this is because if we see the demographics in the world and how the societies have changed and the standards of living have improved, it means that we need energy much more than we need in the past. I will tell you some numbers. Now, in the world, we live 8 billion people. 8 billion people. In 2010, we were 1 billion less. That is, within 14 years, we have added 1 billion people. And if we consider how the world is living around us, the standards of living are better. When the standards improve, it means we need more energy. And so we would need, if we had not the energy transition and the need to find new fuels, we will rely only on the fossil fuels. I remember in 2004, when there was speculation that we were reaching the top resources of fuel, the price of petrol went 150. So what I would say that in the long term, we need the transition to new fuels. The problem is that the regulations and let's say the media around has forced to go to this transition much at very fast pace without having these alternative fuels readily available at the scale that are needed by shipping. I read last week in the Financial Times, it was the COP29. In the COP29, they are waiting to have a lot of money to be added in their coffins in order to be distributed to the underdeveloped countries. And I read that they expect from shipping every year 127 billion from shipping to be collected from taxes on the energy transition. So it means that somehow now they are forcing us to do something that, and we pay in a form of taxes for this decarbonization, but at the same time, we don't have the alternative fuels readily available and to the scale that the society will need. And finally, I would like to tell another thing. Sorry for this. Shipping was burning for the many years what was burning the fuel oil that was not needed by the society. And they constructed engines to burn this fuel. And this fuel was used in order to assist the society not to dispose something that was not needed from the other industries. Now we are forced to go to other alternative fuels that will be demanded from other industries as well. So somehow the things are not so well planned by the politicians regarding shipping. Shipping is a service, and it's not a tax, let's say, an option to find taxes.
But I think the market finds a way. Let me just tell you a brief story. The first ship I ever sold many years ago was a chemical tanker. And I was basically, my first job, they gave me this small chemical tanker that was being used for a drinks manufacturer in the southeast coast of Ireland. And basically what happened every day is they took all the sludge, the rubbish, edible waste, took it 25 nautical miles off the coast, dumped it, and then came back in. Okay? The fish around there were very sweet, apparently. Okay? And you know what happened? They found a use for that drink, and that became the energy drinks. The market will find a way of using waste. The market will find a way of doing things. And I think this is the thing that I always say. I'm sorry for interrupting on your panel, but I understand what you're saying, but we've got to look to the future rather than and what the market solutions are there. Harris, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to say that if you lived in Valencia, you wouldn't have had the opinion that we are doing things fast enough. So I think if we look around us, we can observe ourselves the climate change. The question is, what are we going to do about it, whether we should do something about it. And we don't have to make that decision because the decision was made by the representatives of the world in the various COP meetings. In fact, you know, in COP28, COP29 was about funding the southern, less developed nations. COP28 was what are we going to do about decarbonization, and they, in fact, made a decision that we need to triple the amount of clean energy we need, and the question is implementation. And but tripling the amount of clean energy means that you're going to produce 3 times more clean electrons from renewables and from nuclear energy.
Okay, so
and
sorry,
just to finalize the thought. But the problem is that we can't store that energy. That's the big issue, and therefore we need to convert those green electrons to green molecules. And that's where I see a great opportunity for shipping, because we need to actually ship these green molecules around. So there'll be a transition period. It's going to take a few years. Big transitions do not happen without government intervention. We've seen this, you know, even in your example with, you know, how, you know, double hull tankers were implemented and we have less pollution now. Or even if you look at solar panels. I mean, solar panels were subsidized. We didn't want to have solar energy because it was too expensive. They're subsidized, and a large percentage of our electricity needs are now coming from, you know, wind and solar. So I think sometimes you need an intervention to effect change, and the question is which direction this intervention is going to go, and IMO will soon decide on this.
Dimitri.
Simon, thanks. Look, I think we're all trying here to predict what Trump will be doing or what his reaction will be to a number of issues for the industry. But he is unpredictable, and he is not the one that makes all the decisions. We shouldn't forget that. So from my perspective, and I'm the least qualified on the panel to talk about market trends or the way the ESG agenda will go, but what I see here is a tendency for protectionism and a tendency to restrict the barrier, to restrict trade in certain ways. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the effects of that in the short to medium term, with the result being that the market will fall as a result of his policies. But this may change. We've seen that with sanctions. Initially, it had a negative effect, and then it turned out to be very positive for the market.
Okay, Helena.
Yeah, I just want to say that sustainability is about risk and opportunities, and this is exactly what we're talking now on the decarbonization side. So it is quite risky to decide what kind of alternative fuel, let's say, you're going to invest in, what type of vessel, but at the same time, as Harry said, is that we may have new market, okay? So we see now the new, let's say, CO2 carriers. We will see ammonia, we will see methanol carriers. Well, I mean, this is what is going to happen. I think so everybody should actually aim for this energy transition. And looking, let's say, the positive side of this. This is what we have seen the last, even with electrification, for instance. But I think that the most important thing with regards of what is happening now in the US, as I said before, is more on the ESG side. And since we have young people, or even for the old ones, right? It's very good to understand a little bit what is ESG about. And ESG is a framework of with set of policies, procedures, metrics, targets that actually evaluates the performance of the company with regards to the risks and the opportunity, the financial risks and the financial opportunities, according to these three pillars: environment, social, and governance. And whatever we have discussed so far with regards to, say, the risks, even the market risk, is part of this, sustainability statements, okay? And this is what the stakeholders want to see in a company, okay? So whatever we discuss within a conference like this, it can become a list of, statements, risks, opportunities with regards to the environment, the sanctions part, which is on the governance side, the crew, and mental health, which is on the social side. So going forward, I think this is how we should start thinking every single trend that happens, let's say, within shipping. Look, the risk and the opportunity.
Okay, but this is more about, and this is a good thing, because I've got representatives of Intertanker and Intercargo here, but this is about management. And we've got a manager here as well, so this is good. But this is, when we're talking about ESG, we're talking about management, economies of scale, expertise, and let's shift it down a bit into the Greek market, because this is where we are. The Greek market, forgive me if I'm wrong, John, is the foundations. How I started in the Greek market was talking to lots of different owners that had 3 or 4 dry bulk carriers. I mean, it's showing my age as well, I guess, but we're talking 25, 30 years ago. That was the foundation, that was the rock solid. Yes, there's always been names and so on, but dry bulk carriers, especially the smaller sizes, the geared sizes, were the entry level for many owners. Is that correct? Would you agree on that? And that's your membership?
Yes, I agree. And I think it is still the case, although we have more consolidation and we have bigger groups and we have bigger companies. Still, the foundation is the small to medium enterprise, and it's usually the smaller dry bulk owner who is tramping his ships and is not dependent on big routes or big contracts.
So in terms of your members of or that type of company, they're facing big problems with the ESG regulations coming through because they cannot scale up by economies of scale.
Absolutely. Any regulation is a problem for the smaller company than the bigger company that has the resources to do that in a more efficient way.
And so to extrapolate that, small ship-owning companies, ship management companies within Greece are in trouble. because this is a real challenge for them. Forget about the markets for the moment; they've been good enough.
I wouldn't say they are in trouble, because
but there's a challenge there.
Greek ship owners have never been in trouble. They always find a way around things.
Okay, good.
And that's why we're still around and the #1 nation in the world. But it is challenging, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And of course, ship owners don't produce the fuels and don't manufacture the engines, and we should never forget that, because the regulation is dumped upon them, but they're not the ones who should find the solution to the problem.
Okay, so going to the other end of the scale, excuse me a second, I'm going to go to a big manager. Hello, Mark. You are, let's say, one of the 3 companies within the Anglikousis group. I mean, how do you see these challenges? Because you run a sizable fleet, even of tankers, and this is, these are things that you have to face.
I mean, there are 2 elements. One about ESG and sustainability. I think that shipping is a highly regulated industry, and we do many, many things already driven by our third-party requirements, by TMSA, by HSQE, by ISM, all of these things. And when we looked at our sustainability and we started to prepare our sustainability reporting, we just had to collect all of the different things that we were doing. And then all of a sudden, we had a report, and it didn't look so bad. It looked quite good. Now, we produce a sustainability report for a number of years now, and it really, it's for ourselves, it's for our stakeholders. We're not a public company, but we've collected all of the different things that we do as a company, and yeah, we could produce a decent report. So in terms of sustainability, probably size helps in that regard. But I think that a lot of companies, they already do many, many things. So it might not be such a disaster as we think in terms of producing. You agree? That's a relief, I have to say. But
so I'll come into the middle of this particular, of the 2 extremes, the third-party manager. That's you, Dimitri. I mean, is it something that you're being called on a lot more to do as a service for your clients? Is this something that they are particularly focused on?
Yes. I definitely believe that the regulations as have been involved in our days, and the unilateral regulations of European Union with the UETS and the fuel EU, which is coming, and the expected regulations on a global basis with the IMO, I think they will create the necessity to report in a very precise way the emissions and the consumptions and the purchase of bunkers aboard the ships. And for us, we are prepared on this, because we have a lot of, we have big owners, we have small owners, we have a different range of owners. So we are prepared very well on this in order to provide the service and to have the compliance available to our clients.
Okay. Just a couple of general things, just at the moment. This time last year, there was all sorts of fuss about EU ETS, which seems to have kind of died down a little bit. It's just been absorbed into how people trade and how people do. My colleague, Dionysios, sent me a paper that now BIMCO have created a clause for, what is it, Fuel EU? Is that
Fuel
right?
EU.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Fuel EU, which he's a very intelligent man. His research is brilliant, and it took him about 3 weeks to give me an easy crib sheet on what Fuel EU was until he was satisfied with it. Are you facing the same confusion? No, leave aside Fuel EU. EU ETS has come into it. The Chinese, I understand at the moment, are collecting local data to see if they want to do the same thing. The question is, and this is the second question, Stavroula, please. Hello, second question, okay. I want to put up there, just to throw it in there, is do you think this is leading inexorably towards a global ETS system where it will be controlled by the, will there be a global tax on CO2 emissions in shipping by 2035? I put 2035 in because it's not 2030 and it's not 2040, okay? So this is something that is talked about a great deal. One of our previous panelists, Ioana Prokopiou, was very vocal. She's very vocal anyway, but she was very vocal on this particular point. So oh, interesting. Okay, maybe there's not so many votes on this one because it's maybe, but this is really interesting, and this leads me on to the next subject that we're talking about. In my experience as a lecturer at the ICS, there is a lot more work involved than Helena and Mark and Dimitri. There's a lot more in HSQE these days. This is a new way for people to get into shipping, a new people that don't want to be too commercial and don't just want to be sitting on operations. HSQE, vetting, attending ships and so on is a growth industry, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot more there going on. Am I right on that? Helena?
What we see in shipping is that there are new, let's say, positions are coming in because of the new regulations. And I think definitely one is on the sustainability side or the ESG. And it's not only the ESG reporting, it's not only what Mark have done is great because they actually, as he well said, shipping is doing a lot of things, so you can actually collect all this data and report it. But it's not only that. You need to collect the data, you need to put targets, you need to identify your risk, you need to identify your opportunity. It's more or less like finance, all right? But it's called non-financial information. It's called sustainability information, but it's more or less the same. And then you have, of course, the auditors that they come actually and start auditing the KPIs and the numbers, whatever you have put in order to avoid the greenwashing, which means that there will be a lot of opportunities for the young people to fill in new roles. One of them can be on the sustainability side, and definitely there is a lot of collaboration with all the departments that you just mentioned. You know, HR. Also, some companies that don't have HR, they should have they should start having HR. QHSEC, of course, the operations, the finance. So it's a new position that we see in shipping nowadays. So.
Okay, Dimitri.
Yes. There is another one department that has been widely now from the discussions I have with colleagues around the various companies. One new department is energy efficiency departments. These are the new departments that
energy performance?
Energy performance, yes.
Yeah.
Energy performance, energy efficiency, energy performance departments. And many companies now, they want very well-educated people, mainly people who can handle data, can work with data, can create information from data, which will bring a new breed of people into shipping to work with ability of data use.
Okay, and John. Hold on, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to...
One of the Martinos,
John,
the young generation, he has a company.
Yanis,
He deals with that. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, something similar. Yes, Martinos, the company that Martinos has created uses a lot of data in order to analyze the markets and to make decisions based on the analysis of this data. But I'm talking about the companies now. They need people to understand the bunch of data that are coming from the vessels, to analyze them and provide information on which the managers should take decisions. This is something that needs very well-educated people.
And finance is dependent on this. I mean, the Poseidon principles and all these other things that have been talked about, they want to see things that prove that people are complying with whatever it is they want to be complied with. Sorry, I'm a little cynical about this, but it's a fact, isn't it? Certainly in Northwest European finances.
Well, definitely. If you look at the way banks are reacting to this, because of the pressure from societies, certainly in Northern Europe, but elsewhere also, is that they are looking very closely to their own emissions, and they're also forced by the regulators to report emissions, and in an effort to avoid what they call stranded assets, because there is a fear out there that if you finance far too many of polluting type of assets, then you may have a problem with your balance sheet later on, because the residual value of those investments may be reducing quite quickly. So it's a big issue, and that comes on top of regulations that are related to capital efficiency ratios. So the combination of the two, ESG controls as well as capital controls, is what creates the exodus of most European banks from shipping. And banks in general, I would say. Actually, I was looking at a statistic recently which looked at the top 40 banks globally. We reached the peak of outstandings related to shipping of about $450 billion of the top 40 institutions again in about 2011. And today we are at about $150 billion below that, so at, around 280. Which is a significant drop. And of course, there are many, other participants that came into the fore to substitute that lack of funding, like, Chinese leasing companies, Japanese, et cetera, which means that for the time being, we will not face any shortage. But definitely for the banking world is a one-way street.
Okay, just briefly. Okay.
Excuse me, could I make a comment before
Please.
You continue?
Please.
I think that the big issue here really is, which we haven't really addressed it before you look for the money to do it, is if you want to raise the standard of living of 10 billion people, which was suggested previously, then you have to obtain the energy, and you have to obtain all the natural resources. So you have to dig and drill and destroy the environment. And from what the scientists say, the repercussions of this system is what we are seeing now with the floods, with the rain, with everything. So the main question is how can you do that without destroying the planet? Thank you.
Does anyone want to take that one? A very interesting and a valid observation, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? But Helena.
Yeah, I just want to say based on what Dimitri said before, on the energy efficiency side, we see people actually, we see companies going into the sustainability-linked loans and sustainability-linked bonds, right, or green bonds, for instance. So, which means that they put specific, let's say, target on CO2 reduction, and in order to have a better, terms with regards to, let's say, the financial institutions. And so we see this type of people actually be responsible to monitor this, and this is how the energy efficiency guys can actually work with the financial guys in order to make sure that they will get the targets for the sustainability-linked bonds. So it's an interesting, let's say, new profession that we see.
Okay.
And on what Mr. Stravelli says, I totally agree with him. And what we found out, particularly now, let's say, with the biofuels, and looking, let's say, first, second, and third generation of feedstock, that's a good example that is very difficult to find the feedstock in order to produce the biofuels because of the fuel EU maritime, for instance, which is quite unfair. And what happens afterwards with regards to the EU, they came up with a new regulation, and they have regulated the feedstock process, okay, which makes the life, extremely difficult to find feedstock to produce alternative fuels. So they realize, I think, the regulators sometimes the big problems that they create by themselves, and they tried with another regulation to fix it. And I don't know whether they have a plan on this, I must say.
Okay. I think, and with all these new regulations and with all these new markets and so on, Dimitri, there's new litigation, isn't there? I mean, there's new work for lawyers, surely.
Yes, there seems to be work for lawyers. I'm a shipping litigator, Simon, so I've got a good insight on what's going on in the world in terms of disputes at the moment. So there is obviously the sanctions aspect, which is affecting our business. There are issues arising from non-compliance of sanctions. There's litigation around that. There is the issue of geopolitics and how it affects the parties in the world trade. So we've had lots of disputes arising from casualties or disruption to trade. On the other aspects, we haven't seen much work coming out of the ESG-related aspects yet.
Do you expect it to happen?
I think we will come in due course because there's a lot of uncertainty in that area. The clauses that we see being drafted by BIMCO are being tested. They will be tested further in practice as we go along, but it's going to take a little while for the disputes to reach the courtrooms.
Yeah, or even to work out what the disputes are in many cases. Okay. Yes, please, go ahead. I was just walking past.
I fully the comment of I will not give you a reply. Your comment resonates with what I believe as well. We have learned in economics the concept of opportunity cost. The opportunity cost means when you use some resources, what are the lost opportunities by using these resources? So in shipping, if let's say we want to decarbonize shipping and to use resources to decarbonize shipping, have we considered how many industries, how many things can be decarbonized in the land industries with these resources and will improve the emissions globally? I don't know if I made myself clear. So the opportunity cost is very important. If we direct the resources to decarbonize the shipping with something that is not present yet, do we lose other opportunities in the land industries to decarbonize land industries where the footprint of emissions is bigger?
Okay, I think if we can, this is an interesting discussion, and I think we'll carry on for some time, for a while afterwards, over a glass of wine perhaps, but we are running out of time. I did want to address a very important point. We are here, as I mentioned earlier, there are members, some of which are owners and managers, some of which are working in ship management companies, some of which are students who are thinking, what the hell am I doing here, getting into this industry when they're so obsessed with things that perhaps we don't really care about. What they do care about is what is the future of shipping employment, and what is there with all of this regulations and with all of these challenges that we've talked about so far, very eloquently, I must say. I would like to ask the panel one by one, and I'll pick up one by one. A very simple thing. What attributes do you look for when you're employing somebody? What are you looking for a suitable employee within the shipping industry in all of your areas? Some of you are in management, some of you are brokers, some of you are in finance, lawyers, of course, over there. Eva, over to you. Eva, you're first.
Will you allow me to say something very quickly regarding the previous
Yes, of
topic?
course, I do.
Sure?
You weren't shouting at me,
I think
Eva.
to get people on board and industries on board something, there needs to be clarity. And it's not only that there is uncertainty about, the fuels of the future, there is also uncertainty about what we used to call like transitional fuels. There was a recent study by Cornell that LNG actually leaves greenhouse gas emissions 33% higher than coal. So I'm just saying this, for people who might have invested millions in dual fuel engines and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of confusion still. There needs to be clarity, and obviously there needs to be investment. But before that, there needs to be clarity. So, to your question.
Okay, my question was?
Yeah, I remember your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, got some naughty boys gossiping down here.
So, okay, I'm just going to say, yeah, about the shipbrokers, or like a bit of, my side of shipbroking. We'd like to see people with common sense, that they like to do their job, that they actually wake up and have a passion for the job, and they have grit. It's a very important word. To become the best, or die trying. It doesn't matter. But we need people who I've said this before, I think, who are present, who are asking questions, who like shipping, who get passionate about shipping. If you are not passionate about your job or your sector, your job may change from time to time. You can move to another company if you're not happy. But if you're not passionate about the industry you work in, you won't be happy. So you will eventually become, a mediocre employee. So people need to actually understand the importance of this industry, not just for Greece, but for the entire world, and become a bit passionate. I feel very lucky that I belong to this industry, and bear in mind that I changed careers just before I turned 30. So that was a very conscious decision. And I didn't have a background in shipping. I didn't study shipping. My first job was in finance. So looking back now, I just feel blessed, and I need to see people who are sending their CVs to our company as well, to see this kind of passion and desire to belong to this sector.
Okay. I'm going to go down this way. I'm going to mix up a bit. Dimitri, what are you looking for apart from a law degree?
Yeah, apart from the academics, that's right. I think what we're looking for is career enthusiasm and long-term commitment, Simon. That's very important. We want our people to be seeing the long term. We want them to display collegiality, team spirit, and hard work. And I'd like to give a tip to the newcomers to the industry, which is this. I think they should spend time every day faithfully reading about global politics, about shipping news, and also a bit more time reading about their subject, whether it's industry subject, whether it's operations, law, insurance, chartering. I think that's very important to be up to date.
Well, that's what we do here at the ICS, of course. So. And I can give you all the resources that you need should you wish to. John, tell me your words of wisdom for people entering the industry. Oh, and by the way, let's carry on with that, and then I'll ask you a slightly different question a bit later on.
Okay. Well, I would say that the main thing I'm looking at people who want to come and work for us would be character and not so much knowledge, because knowledge we can teach. Character, it's either they have it or they don't. So,
I mean, character, you mean attitude?
I mean, integrity, humility, work ethic, curiosity, the drive that was described earlier. These are the things that we're looking for. And if we see those, we hire the guys, even if they're not the most competent in terms of CV and their knowledge. And one piece of advice that we always give to people who want to work in shipping, especially the ones that are ashore, is to spend at least 2 weeks on board a cargo ship. And we apply that also in our company.
Can I ask you a favour? Next summer, instead of my holiday, can I be on a cargo
Absolutely.
ship? No, seriously.
You'll love it.
It is one thing that I've never done.
You'll love it.
Okay, for all of the ship owners out there, I am ready for 2-3 weeks of voyage. I would love to do it, seriously. And if anybody else gets the opportunity, obviously I would, and I think that's very good advice. Mark.
Thank you. I think all of the above is a very simple answer to give to what was discussed. I think character is very important. One thing I would like people to do is to know what they want to do. Go into shipping and say, I want to go into shipping. I don't mind which part. Have a target. Know what you're aiming for and work towards that. And I think people should also be open to learn. You should not just stick to one part of it, in my view. You should learn as much as you can. If opportunities come your way, take on different roles in different departments. Take on new projects. Try and broaden your knowledge as much as you can. And take control of your own destiny, because the managers in shipping companies, don't necessarily have the time and sometimes not the skills to be the perfect personnel managers to help you with your development and growth. So take control of your own destiny, give them feedback, bother them, ask them for information, ask them for feedback, and drive your own careers. Don't just wait and expect somebody to take you and then develop you nicely along the way, because that's not likely to happen in shipping.
So basically, you have to take in shipping. You have to shake the tree at the very least, because it's not going to just fall in your lap. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Dimitri, your turn.
I have a motto in my life. No, except this. Yes. Hire the character and train the skills, which is related to what John said. The good character is very important for an employee, and the good character is associated and related to the soft skills that each one should have. And the soft skills is the emotional intelligence, the ability to communicate well, and to have to work with teams. The other thing that I want to say to young generations, to be ambitious, to have ambitions, to dream where she or he wants to go in the future, because the ambition gives you the strength and the self-motivation in order to work hard to achieve your dreams. And the last thing is curiosity. It was mentioned before, because being curious, you ask questions, and if you ask continuously questions, you learn many things, and you show that you are passionate for what you are going to do. This is the things that I try to teach my kids as well.
Okay. Helen.
Well, first I always look to have somebody open-minded, particularly for what I pray for. The other thing is that I always ask people whether they care about the environment, the social.
Well, you ask Chief Sustainability
care about
Officer,
the people, okay, and be a team worker, and also to be ethical, which is on the governance side.
Okay.
So
define ethical. I mean, I'm a set of
you have to.
I'm a set of purchase shipbroker after all, so maybe.
Talk the walk. Yeah. Walk the talk, they say, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay, Harris.
Well, that's a tough job now because everybody's spoken already. But first of all, I'm really glad to see so many young people here. It's an impressive turnout. So shipping is still quite attractive as an industry for young people, and that's very encouraging. Secondly, shipping offers something unique, which is meritocracy, in my view, whether you're in a shipping company or a finance company or insurance, etc. Because it's a laissez-faire, laissez-passer, it's an open market, and in order to survive, you need to be efficient. Companies typically look for the best way to perform, to optimize their operations. And I think this is a great environment for young aspiring students, because it gives them the opportunity to flourish as long as they want to. And what does that mean? It means that you need to be able to and capable and willing to work really hard, put in the hours, learn the skills, be a team player, and show curiosity, because curiosity is a great trait that actually helps you advance in your career. It doesn't stop when you're an apprentice at a shipping company or a finance company. It continues and allows you to actually pivot at critical moments in your career, because a career in shipping is not, one-faced.
Okay, I've been very kind on all of you. I've allowed you to be positive. But I would now like the third question up, and I'm going to ask you in turn, in one sentence, in one word, what really hacks you off What is the thing that you don't want to see? What is the thing that really annoys you? What is the thing, the attitude, let's say, and this isn't just about young people, and I don't want to get into a generational discussion here. What really pisses you off, okay, with people in the workplace? What kind of attitude do you really think is a drain on your business? I think that's a fair enough question to ask. Dimitri, I'll just do it, but as short as you can, please, because we're running out of time.
Sure. I would say lack of responsiveness. I'm expected by my clients to be very responsive, so I'd like to see my colleagues and employees being responsive too.
Mark.
People only looking at the part of their role in whatever's happening. People should always try and step back and take overall responsibility and not just look at what they do themselves.
Helena. Go on, be honest, it's okay.
Well, if they are unethical, that's something that it's a showstopper for me.
Okay, Harris.
Expropriating other people's work and backstabbing. That's something we don't tolerate.
So stealing other people's work and stabbing them in the back in the process. Okay. No, never a nice look. Okay, good.
People don't take the accountability that it's supposed to have.
Taking responsibility, owning up, ownership. Okay. John.
In one word, I would say negativity. With all that is entailed, finding problems to the solutions instead of the other way around.
Okay. Eva.
Accountability, I'd have to say, and also this is a generational thing, I guess. People tend to express a lot their emotions, how they feel about things, new tasks, new responsibilities. That's great, but at the same time, some of this stuff needs to be kept inside and give you some drive. It doesn't always have to come out.
Or put somewhere else. Put somewhere else.
Exactly. So that's
leave it with the barman.
Advice.
Yes, indeed. I get that. I have one, intolerance, especially for things that go on for too long. First of all, thank you very much. For the panelists, thank you very much for all your contributions there. Very grateful.
I have one more point, the lack of job satisfaction. If the employee is not happy doing his job, he's not satisfied, I think that's not an attribute.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another one for us. So, as I was saying, I think you all agree we should be proud of the Greek shipping industry. The panelists here have shown the great depth of talent, expertise and experience we have here in Greece. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your contributions. Now, my favourite part, the awards. No, not the drinks, the awards, okay? As I've said many times here and elsewhere, I consider being a teacher at the ICS an honour, especially here in Greece. I've got so much from the many years I've been involved with HMC since Natalia's husband, Antonis, called me one afternoon to ask whether I would consider lecturing every once in a while for the ICS. And meanwhile, 15 years later, here I am. More, I think. Anyway, I had never taught before, but I found I liked it and I could do it. If there's anybody here that thinks that they would like to share their knowledge and expertise, however young or old they are, however experienced or otherwise, then do it. I recommend it. It's a good thing to do. You're never too young and you're never too old to do it. For me personally, many good things have come from it, professionally and personally, that I now cannot imagine my life without it. And I know that my brother and sister lecturers, Gogo, Katerina, Captain Andreas, who is not here tonight. Where is he? I mean, if there's Trump, it's Captain Andreas, isn't it? Anyway. George, Kostas, Stathis, Harris, Paraskevas, Amalia, I think all of you have shared in that joy of sharing, I think, the knowledge. And this is essential for the industry. This is essential for us, because it does not happen just by you do not take this stuff. You give this stuff. And this is really important, I feel. Now, Natalia, Mr. Chairman, could you please come and start, because we're going to start giving out awards now. These are people who, sorry, I'm wandering on my microphone. These are people who are about to honour, who have excelled academically. I wish I could give an award to everybody that passes, because every time a student takes exams, you can never understand exactly what they're doing. Most of the time they're working. They have other challenges, rearing children, dealing with family members, difficult boyfriends, that kind of thing, okay? You'll never understand what it goes through. So first of all, I'm going to invite Eleni Maniudaki Panakolo. Where is she? There she is. And also Isidora. Hello. This is an award for a distinction in shipping finance. Bravo, Catalina. Eleni, after 5 years at Chakos, is now tanker operator at IFCOR Galbraiths. So, okay, we have to live with that. But many of my friends at IFCOR Galbraiths speak very highly of her. So congratulations, Eleni. Next up, Alexos Mavropoulos, and Mr. Sinodakis, this is you. Alexio, oh dear. Okay, after accounting, and then as an HSQE trainee for Halkidon Shipping, he then went to sea with Halkidon, and then came back ashore, did a few detours, and then went back as a vetting superintendent to Halkidon. He gained the highest marks in sale and purchase. I am glad to say that so far he is not showing any desire to be an S&P broker, which is, I'm afraid of the competition. Okay. Emanet Meliksha Palakolo, here we are. And please, Mr. Komlinos. This is for highest marks in Greece and a distinction in shipping business. For those of you who don't know, shipping business is a tough exam. I know there are many here that are looking at me saying, you didn't tell us how tough it was going to be. Every student has to take this exam to qualify for membership. This is a very strong distinction to get. This is highest marks in Greece. Another distinction in shipping business, I didn't think he was paying attention. Evangelos Karagoudakis, parakalo. Now, Vangelis he's been doing a hell of a lot of stuff. Okay, he went to the University of June, but in the meantime, he started doing internships over and over and over again. Bravo, Vangelis. All the way through, summertime, everything else, he has gone on to do that. He's a very good example of being, I'm sure the reason he got a distinction was because he knows about shipping business. He's been out there. This is not just academic. The best education is on the job. And I'm sure that he did well in shipping business because he had that experience in the internships that he's had. So, congratulations, Vangeli. Amalia, sorry. Oh, Vangeli, Perimani. I forgot Amalia. Okay. Congratulations, Amalia, please. It's a long day. It's a long evening. Amalia, how could I overlook you? Now, I'm very proud of the Greek branch. and I'm very proud of us here. I'm very glad that we've got not many foreign dignitaries here from different branches around. Your Excellency, you're very welcome. However, I can speak a bit more freely about us here in Greece. I don't have to talk about the ICS brand and all of that kind of stuff, okay? Early October, however, I was in London with the ICS, and I was happy to be with Stavroul and Natalia to see our own global prize winners there. 5 global prize winners in total, which we are honouring again tonight at the home base, okay? These awards are for the highest marks in one academic year, okay, globally. This is a big deal, okay? Philippe, où est ça? Philippos, Ella, okay. Philip Iliakis, Mr. Evianidis, please, thank you very much, was... Now, anybody that knows anything about ship sale and purchase will know the legend that was John O'Keefe back in the day. John O'Keefe was the first of a generation that basically put ship sale and purchase broking forward in the 80s. This award is called the John O'Keefe Award for the highest marks in ship sale and purchase. Treasure the name, treasure the award, well done. Do you want to be an S&P broker? Okay, I'll tell you someone else, okay? Thank you. Lisa. Dr. Pateras, please, if you can make yes. Look, I'm going to spend a bit of time on this one, so you will apologise. You'll forgive me. Other students just astound me for their courage and tenacity and leave me in awe. Lisa is one of them. Despite suffering heartbreaking personal tragedy, she fought, studied and sat for a shipping finance exam. She's prize winner. And I know of many people within the branch who are very proud of her. Katerina and Gogo in particular, I think. I'm just lots of admiration. But Lisa, I also know that Thotis would have been proud of you too. He knew you could do it anyway and that you would excel. Let us congratulate her for her achievement, please. Panayiotis Michaliakos for the Baltic Exchange Award for gaining his highest marks in dry cargo chartering. Mr. Haralambos Semiatonis, President of the Hellenic Short Sea Shipowners Association. Let me tell you about Panos. Panos was a charming and intelligent student, as you can see, okay? Engaged and enthusiastic. Always present. He got top. Okay. Okay, well, let's leave that for there now, okay. Panos, stay here. Come back here. Come back here. I'm talking about you. Okay, hello. Okay. He got top marks, ladies and gentlemen, for dry cargo chartering, which is globally, by the way, which is a notoriously difficult exam to pass, let alone to get a distinction and get top marks. He's going places. You know why I know? He starts at Orsa on Monday. Now, as I said, I was in London in October to attend the awards ceremony, but it was not just our students being awarded prizes. Mrs. Natalia was also honoured at that time. Let me tell you a few things. I too am proud of Natalia. Natalia is gold. Natalia is family to me. She has been by my side, supporting me during the difficult times, and was indeed decisive in one of the most important decisions of my life, which was to move back to Greece and start the S&P desk at Orsa. She tipped the balance. But let me tell you a few facts about this creation that we are honouring tonight, okay? The Greek ICS branch has the highest number of students taking the exam annually in the world. All our lecturers are working professionals, unlike other lesser places. Your Excellency. We consistently have the highest numbers of distinctions and prize winners globally. We are a model of best practice in education throughout the branch network globally. ICS Greece, Hellenic Management Centre, both in Greece and abroad, is a shining light for excellence in professional education and shipping. Without Natalia, none of us would be here tonight. With the possible exception, of course, of Mr. Evgenidis. I mean, he could well be here, you know. I think it's really important when we consider what these achievements are. We are her achievements. I think this is something that we should consider. So, again, for me personally and from my heart, I hope I express for everybody in the room our praise and grateful thanks for all that you have done for us. Thank you. After. Okay, now go back time. You've got work to do, okay? No. Wait a minute, we've got to get... Okay, so now I would like to welcome His Britannic Majesty's Ambassador to the Hellenic Republic, Matthew Lodge, to say a few words to us.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. I've had a big day on shipping. I was at the Press Marine Club earlier on today, as Mr. Zavliris mentioned, and it's fascinating. And I'd just like to pick up on, I think, something, Simon, you were saying earlier on, which is, and indeed some of the panel members have echoed, which is the importance of continuing to learn every day, even when you get a little bit grey-haired and a little bit older. So it's been great, and I've learned a lot this evening. It's a particular pleasure here, and I think, do I have a presentation to...
Not just one, two.
Two, indeed. It's a particular pleasure to be here tonight, to be able also myself to award not one, but two remarkable ICS candidates whose performance reflect...
Sorry, it's two prizes, one candidate.
Two prizes, one candidate. Okay.
That's how remarkable.
A remarkable candidate who's receiving two prizes, reflecting the excellence nurtured by the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, about which we have been hearing so much already this evening. As Simon rightly points out, it's not an evening for publicity or banging the drum from foreign states. This is about the Greek branch. But I would like to say, as the British ambassador, that an organisation granted a Royal Charter in 1920, the ICS has played a key role in shaping professional education and making a valuable contribution to the shipping industry ever since. And the British Embassy, and indeed I myself, am delighted to be able to collaborate with the ICS Greek branch here this evening and to support its efforts, to support all of your efforts, and to recognise all of your achievements in promoting professionalism in this vital sector. So my thanks for the chance to speak, my thanks to Simon and to all the panel members, Chairman Natalia, and I'm looking forward to finding out who this exceptional recipient of two prizes is going to be.
I shall wait no longer. Thank you very much. Alexandra Mangos, where are you? As we now understand, Alexandra got 2 prizes. Look, first was for highest marks in shipping law globally. I mean, come on. The second, however, is something which, okay, I'll leave you to judge. It is the Shipwrights Award for the most successful candidate overall in one academic career, the highest marks globally, full stop. An amazing achievement, I'm sure you'll agree. Pupas? Whatever. Okay, this is Natalia. My work here is done. There's drinks afterwards, okay? But may I just welcome, please, Mrs. Natalia to make some closing remarks. Mrs. Natalia.
Simon, what can I say? You make me feel so nice. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be able to achieve anything if I didn't have this wonderful team. Thank you all for supporting me. Congratulations to my students. Your achievement gave us such an inspiration to continue working so hard. I would like to thank our panel, to thank you all for being here tonight, and we are looking forward to host you at the next conference, the 20th one, which will be the anniversary one. A cocktail reception will follow upstairs. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Eugenides Foundation for their support, to thank our loyal sponsors, to thank our chairman for being with us all these years, and last but not least, to thank Simon Ward, the best moderator we could ever have. Thank you so much, Simon.